Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. It was supposed to be Balling with Bash and Ted, but Bash couldn't make it. And rather than cancel the show completely, I thought I'd come on and just talk to folks through chat. Also, open up, if people, if I know you well and you've been on before, hit me up. I'll DM you the link for the show and get you on. So let's see here. We had early on, we had Bill Cavani in earlier, Red Jet Shell in earlier. Jimmy Perez just came in saying, hello, everyone. What's up, Jimmy? He says CMC MVP. That's what I think it'll be. That's who I think will win it. But if it's not CMC, then I think it'll be Purdy. So we'll see. Not much, Jimmy. Just glad you're here. Better now that you're here. So thanks. We got Stevo Supremo in the house saying bang bang. Welcome, Stevo. So let's see here. As far as the game goes, obviously game of the year. Two of the best teams in the NFL. It's gonna be a hell of a battle. Who can stop whose run game, who can stop whose quarterback. Obviously, the Niners have an advantage in that the Chiefs just don't have a ton of elite weapons. They have Travis Kelce. Rishi Rice has been playing really well lately. They have Pacheco, but other than that, there's not a lot of really great elite weapons for the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the house. Check him out. It says happy Friday, yo. He has his own channel. He is a Rams fan, but he is pretty cool. Happy Friday to you too, Daniel Berry. Appreciate you being here. And he gave us a long yo. So yeah, I've had a bunch of Chiefs fans on over the last couple weeks, and got some good insights from them for sure as far as what to expect in the game. They've been saying that Spagnuolo, the DC for the Chiefs, he is similar in some ways to Bill Belichick, the way he'll try and take away what you're best at and make someone else beat you. So in our case, I think that would be Christian McCaffrey. So that'll probably open things up for people like Debo, for Kittle, for Juwan Jennings. I would say Ayuk. I think Ayuk will get some. I don't think he'll be completely shut out, but I do think that L'Jarius Sneed will do a good job on Ayuk. I don't think he'll have a huge game. But hopefully BA can prove me wrong in all the naysayers. The Chiefs have been pretty poor against the run. I'll pull up. I've got some different bookmarks saved recently of different information. But there was one meme I saw today where it was pretty interesting as far as just like how the Chiefs run D this season. It was really not good. It was all kind of in the 20s or even 30s, and I can't believe it's this far back. Noticed that the Get Up crew all picked the Chiefs. Dan Orlovsky, Tim Hasselbeck, Damian Woody, and Bart Scott all picked the Chiefs. That's pretty crazy to me. I also saw a CBS college basketball team of basketball analysts, that is, not basketball players, for the most part picked the Chiefs. I think there were one or two people that picked the Niners, but I'd say 4 or 5 people that picked the Chiefs. And I just said, hey, this is what you get when you ask college basketball analysts to analyze the Super Bowl. They are clearly not, super well-versed on the NFL. And it showed, I think, and not just in who they picked, but sort of like in their reasons for why they picked the Chiefs and whatnot. It comes down to the kind of the same thing for most everyone, which is like, don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. And then people will say, well, Patrick Mahomes lost to the Bucks a couple Super Bowls ago. And then people say, well, their whole line was out. Well, they were missing 3 offensive linemen. They were missing both tackles, and they were missing their center. Well, now they're missing their left guard, who's arguably their best lineman, Joe Tooney. And their tackles are suspect. One tackle, Donovan Smith, led the league in holds in 2022. The other tackle, Jawan Taylor, led the league in penalties in 2023. And one of those guys will be going up against Nick Bosa pretty much every play, and Chase Young as well. Chase Young, I'm not super happy with him, but against an average type of tackle, or maybe even below average type of tackle, I would expect to see a little bit better performance out of him than what we saw against maybe like the Lions, who have one of the best pairs of tackles in the league with Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker. And the Packers have a really underrated offensive line. Give me one moment. Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. I've got a little bit of a cough. But anywho, let me just see here. So I was looking for that meme of the Chiefs run defense, and maybe I'm not going to be able to find it here in a timely manner. I did find one of Javon Hargrave. Excuse me. All righty. Sorry about that. I did find some stats on Javon Hargrave, though, where this season he had, for DTs, he had 54 pressures, which was first among defensive tackles. Quick pressures, he had 22, which was tied for second. Sacks, he had 5.5, which was tied for fourth. Average time to pressure was 2.68 seconds, second. So that's second in the league. And average get off 0.92 seconds was third in the league. So I think that bodes well for the 49ers with, as I was saying, Joe Tooney, the left guard and Javon Hargrave usually lines up on the right side of the Niners defense. And that would be the left guard for the Chiefs. That's where Tooney goes. Nick Allegretti did a good job filling in for Tooney against the Ravens. But that can happen sometimes with backups where they come in and for a short period of time they do okay. But then usually over time, you start to see why they're the backup. And hopefully, that period of time is this game. And we don't have to wait till after the Super Bowl because obviously the season will be over at that point. So it'll be interesting to see. We got James Durnall coming to us from across the pond. He said the media is a nightmare. It's getting my confidence knocked. And I sit for 5 minutes and think how pissed these guys should be. They get back to being full of piss and vinegar. Yeah. The stuff that's going around on the media is pretty ridiculous. People are asking ridiculous questions. They are just totally discounting things that Brock Purdy has done. I think the whole game manager thing, it's basically like, hey, if you haven't been watching Brock, then, fine, whatever. But I think also it's just like for the ones that have been watching, they're just doing it to, get clicks and hot takes. So, there's not much other way to explain it other than that. So it's there's no way that you can watch Brock Purdy and still have these amateurish takes unless you just honestly have no clue of what you're watching. So, sorry, I had something come in here. And yeah, I mean, the questions being asked of Purdy, the ones being asked of Kyle, it's just really amateur hour. I mean, I like to say that um, Super Bowl week, you really get like super casual week. And it seems like that's kind of true for the media too. Like there's so much media there that a lot of them, I mean, just like I was talking about how the CBS is like, oh, well, let's see what our college basketball team thinks about who's going to be the winner. It's like, no, tell us what football minds think. People that cover this year round, not just like who pop out of the woodwork for the Super Bowl. It's frustrating for sure because some of the stuff is egregious. There's no doubt about it. It seems like a hell of a lot of people are counting us out. I just want us to smash this team in the damn mouth. That's something that we usually do. We're a very physical team. I think I don't think that we'll, crush them the way some people are saying. I've been saying 28-24. I'm not saying we can't beat them by a couple or three scores. It could happen, but I don't think it's real likely. I really don't think they'll do that to us either. I think these teams are both evenly matched. I think both defenses are really good. And to me, it's just like our weapons is the difference. You want to take away CMC? Fine. We'll beat you with Debo. I think you can take him away too. Oops, there's Kittle, or Juwan Jennings, or even Ayuk or Juszczyk. So we have an embarrassment of riches at weapons. We have ever since we got Christian McCaffrey, and nothing has changed this year. Team Cali says idiotic questions being asked professionals. Yeah, no doubt about it. One thing that's nice, I do like that, that Patrick Willis got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Pat P. Willie. He's very deserving of that. Probably the best middle linebacker I ever saw play football. It's just too bad his career got cut short. So it took him 3 tries to make it, but third time was the charm. I was also happy to see that, per the thumbnail for the show, that Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy were the FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year. Might be the first time that both those awards has gone to the same team. I hope it's not just because like the script says we're not going to win the Super Bowl. But I think also, regardless of what the script says, great players can transcend, bad officiating and I've never been one to say that the NFL is fixed. I always just say it's sort of facilitated. There's clearly influence that happens, but I don't think you can influence if one team's blowing the other one out. I don't think the refs can do much about that personally. So we'll see. James also said, how are these a-holes, arseholes credentialed? You got to try to be a journalist, ask Purdy about what he feels like. He looks like, yeah, there was a meme that said, showed a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald and a picture of Brock Purdy. And some reporter asked him like, oh, do you think you look like Lee Harvey Oswald? And he was just sort of, just didn't even want to answer the question because it's so ridiculous. I think he looks kind of like Drew Brees, honestly. And Drew Brees is a big fan. He was backing him up, saying that he thinks that Purdy has everything it takes to get it done. We got Lawrence Jackson Jr. in the house. Says, what's happening, Ted and Faithful? What's happening, LJJ? Nice to see you. Says Debo the like button. Let me go ahead and just I'm going to put the link in the chat here. And if there's anybody I know, especially if I've worked with you before and had you on before, and you feel like popping in, I do like to generally have somebody here with me. It's pretty rare that I do these solo shows, but it was just like I was ready to go, and Bash let me know that he couldn't make it, and some things came up, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go live, and since I'm already here. So that's there. If anybody wants to pop in, come on by and say hi. Feel free. James said they're going to take away the run and make Brock beat them. I think that's a mistake. This offense is going to cook. Yeah. Brock has shown that he can throw, short. He can throw the 10 to 19 yard distance incredibly well, and now even the deep throws. If they stack the box, I think we'll make them pay. As long as they can't get quick pressure on Purdy. And one thing that's going to really hurt the Chiefs from getting quick pressure is Charles Omenihu being out, because he had a big sack on Josh Allen. He had the strip sack on Lamar Jackson, and now he's out. So they have Karlaftis. They obviously have Chris Jones, who's a monster. But, Omenihu was their pressure per play leader this season. So on a per play basis, he got more pressure than any other D lineman on the Chiefs. Now it's probably because he didn't play as many plays, so it's easier to get pressure when you're coming in fresh. But nonetheless, that stat is that stat. Let's see here. We got James here in the house. Oh my gosh, coming from the UK. Let me just switch something, James. Give me one sec. Switch the brand, and I'm gonna maybe put on. I think I had some cool. Yeah, I like this one. All right, let me get rid of this. And there you go. James, hello. How are you?
Lovely to talk to you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. How do you feel about going into this game then?
I feel pretty confident. Barring the refs. I feel like we have as good of a defense as the Chiefs overall. Maybe not as good against the pass, but I think CMC is better than Pacheco. So I feel pretty confident. I've been saying 28-24 Niners is what I think it'll be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're going to cook. I know the defensive backs are brilliant for Kansas City, but when Spags is going to concentrate on McCaffrey, I think that's going to be his downfall, because the more you take away from the run, the more something else is going to open up. And these play action rollouts are going to kill him. I think Purdy's going to absolutely murder him.
Well, I know that their linebackers are very susceptible to the pass.
I think they're quite good pass rushers, though, don't you think?
Yes, they're good pass rushers. So that's what they were saying. They'd probably have one of them, maybe Willie Gay, might do some pass rushing. They're saying Tranquil is pretty good in coverage, but Bolton isn't. And I'm trying to think, those are the kind of the big three for the Chiefs. So yeah, I think they'll try and have Willie Gay fill Omenihu's role on the edge, opposite of Karlaftis, essentially. So we'll see. We've got CarCast 49ers in the house. Welcome. Everybody make sure you check out his channel. Saying yo.
What do you think is the more important matchup? Do you think it's the Kyle Shanahan versus Spags, or do you think it's Big Red versus Wilkes?
I mean, I think it's both. I think Spags has done a really good job against Kyle. And it kind of reminds me in a little bit of a scary way of Jim Schwartz, who, obviously most recently with the Browns did a good job. But there was somebody, it was Myles Garrett, who obviously just won DPOY. And he was saying oh, well, if the Chiefs can get pressure up the middle like we did, then, then that can go well for the Chiefs. And that kind of goes, I feel like it's a little weak just because.
Sorry, but did you say that was Myles Garrett that said that?
Yeah.
What people are forgetting about that game, it was raining. Purdy is not, he's a fair weather quarterback.
That's what I said. I said, too bad. I said, yeah, maybe if the Chiefs D can make it rainy and windy the way the Browns D did, because obviously it wasn't the Browns defense that did it. And then also you got to remember that Debo left that game early in the game. CMC left, I think, before halftime, and Trent Williams
Trent got injured third quarter as well, didn't
he? Yeah, and he played almost half the game on just one leg.
Yeah.
So, but then again, like, we're talking about what defenses have to do, but then obviously they had PJ Walker as their quarterback. That's a far cry from Patrick Mahomes. So.
And what do you think about the lack of effort in the championship game? I mean, they vowed not to do it again, and they're going to step it up. If you can't step it up in the championship game, I have no faith in Chase Young doing it in the Super Bowl. Honestly, I'd rotate him out. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's really funny that the guy who said we're going to step it up is the guy who needs to step it up the most. It was Chase Young. So I don't know. Yeah, just do it. Don't talk about it, Chase. Just do it. Yeah, I think some of it is effort. I think some of it is scheme. I think Wilkes always likes to default to this kind of a quasi, prevent defense situation. And it frustrates me because it just seems like any QB who's patient can pick it apart. And Patrick Mahomes has proved that he's pretty patient this season. The thumbnail for my other show today, I have a Chiefs creator coming on at 4 p.m. today, 7 p.m. Eastern. And, the thumbnail is one I saw out there on the Twitter X. And it was basically like, it was interesting because it was basically showing all these stats that show that Patrick Mahomes was much more of a game manager this year than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think I've seen something along them lines. It's showing him being a lot more dink and dunk this season. His numbers have actually gone down on the air yardage. But I think that's more to do with his receivers dropping the ball, to be honest, than anything. I mean, if he's lost trust in his receivers, he's going to go dink and dunk.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I do think that one of the X factors for this game will probably be Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, agreed.
Because he has had 2 big catches in the last two games, but the rest of the season and really the rest of his career has been known for dropping a lot of balls, essentially. And so either he's like turned the corner, and this will just be the 3rd game in a row where he's showed that he's done that, or he'll fall back to earth and be more like what he usually is, which is what I think. And so, either way, it could be the difference in the game, because I do think he's really fast. I do think Andy Reid will scheme him open, and it'll just be interesting to see, how it goes based off of that. So yeah, the comparison for my next show, between Mahomes and Brock was air yards per attempt. Brock 7.1, Mahomes 4.2.
Yep.
And that was per completion. Per pass, air yards 8.2 to 6.5. Tight end running back targets, which is showing your check down thrower typically. Purdy has 194, Mahomes 267.
You can kind of skew that a little bit because Kelsey being a tight end, he is a glorified wide receiver.
He does he is a deep threat.
That is a bit skewy, I think.
He can be a deep threat for sure. Passing Yak, that they always accuse Brock of being reliant on Yak.
Yeah.
2364 for Brock, 3023. So over 600 yards higher for Mahomes. Pass Yak percentage, Brock 49%, 0.5. Mahomes 63. And Yak percentage rank, this is the huge one. Brock 19th, Mahomes 1st. So everybody likes to accuse Brock of being the game manager, but really, and no one's saying that Mahomes defaults to being a game manager, right? He can throw deep with the best of them. He probably wants to throw deep on a regular basis. He just doesn't have the weapons, and also the defenses are playing too high shell to say beat us anyway besides throwing deep. Whereas like with Purdy, I'm sure he sees a lot more single high safety where they're kind of daring him to throw deep. So it's not exactly apples to apples. And I'm not saying like if Mahomes was on our team that he would look like that or anything like that. But in the last season, that's the way he looked, and he looked much more like a game manager than Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
which is pretty interesting.
I think that stat though is more out of necessity because of the way his receivers have played this year. So, like you keep reminding me, you reminded me all season. Stats can be skewed; they can be explained. But yeah, that's what I think. But another thing I want to see in this game: special teams totally taken out of it. I want the ball kicked straight through the back of the end zone, and I want Wisnowski to punt it to the sidelines. I do not want a run return that changes the momentum again.
Yeah, no, can't do. Yeah, like the Packers one was brutal. It was like an 80-yard return. And then we got our hopes up because he coughed up the ball, and what do you know, goes straight to another Packer, and not to a 49er. It was a great hustle play by that second Packer to even be in position to be there. But yeah, we can't risk anything like that.
I just totally want them out the game. Just boot it. Even I don't care if it costs us 10 yards, kicking it out the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, Moody's got a big leg. He should be able to do that every time.
Yeah.
Unless he's been told not to, really.
Yeah.
Team Cali says, I think Ambry Thomas has to be a vital part of the defense. Mahomes will attack him, and he will have to step up. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, go ahead, James.
I'd rather have Ambry Thomas in there than Isaiah Oliver.
100%. Absolutely. Don't tell Randy Daytona I said that, because Randy is more of a Isaiah Oliver fan and a Ambry Thomas detractor. But yeah, I mean, it was, when we were on our losing streak and when we came out of it, there were about 4 things we did differently between the Bengals game and then when we came out of the losing streak and we had the big win. It was against, I guess, maybe 5 things that we did differently. And, one of them was obviously we added Chase Young. Okay. And so now we've seen, yes, he's a good player, but no, he's not like an impact player. He's not a star. He's not like what people thought when he was at Ohio State or like when he was drafted number 2 overall. So, he's a good, solid player. He just has some bad habits and that can tend to bite you.
Yeah.
As far as like going for the QB when he should be maintaining his outside contain on the edge for running plays. So we added Chase Young. Another thing we did was, we had our bye and we got, players back. We got players healthy. So that's part of it. But another thing we did was we obviously benched Isaiah Oliver. I think that was huge. And like you said, we started using, put Lenore in at nickel and bring Ambry Thomas in. As Lenore slid from the boundary to the nickel, Ambry came in the boundary to backfill him. Huge. Wilkes came down from the booth is another one. I think that was beneficial. The players talked about it that week, several weeks later, and even as the season wore on, they kept talking about how nice it was to have him down there. So, to me, that's about 5 different things we did. So it's hard to put your finger on how much impact each one had. But to me, I felt like, the other one we did was, this was a huge one for me too. Sorry, I omitted one, was, I talk about Wilkes likes to do this quasi prevent defense to start out where everybody's way off the ball. We were playing much more press man up on the line of scrimmage with our defensive backs, not giving up the 5, 6, 7-yard passes with no, resistance. And so I think that and Isaiah Oliver being benched were the 2 biggest. And Chase Young was not far behind, but yeah.
I noticed he's laid off using the bluff blitz look as well. He was heavy in the cramming in Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner up against the line of scrimmage and have them back off straight away. But they did it, I think it was 4 times in a row when they gave that look, and no one's gave it any respect. I think we showed it against Kirk Cousins, and he absolutely cooked us. And
Yeah.
we haven't really shown it since.
I'm glad to hear that for sure. And even with Kirk Cousins cooking us, like, we still probably win that game if Brock Purdy doesn't get concussed in the sneak. Yeah. He threw both of his interceptions after.
I don't know. It wasn't the 30-point game that he scored.
Yeah, it was close.
Our defense has been very, very hit and miss this season. I mean, it's like we show up. We didn't show up for 3 weeks in our 3-week stint. Just show up for like a half a game in Baltimore. I thought the first half was brilliant, and I'm not sure whether it was because of the turnovers that got burnt out. And the game before that was brilliant, and it's been very hit and miss up to now. I mean, the first half of the Lions game was terrible. I wasn't overly impressed with them for the Green Bay game. The Rams game was a null said because it didn't matter. The Washington game, like I said, it was a get right game, but I still wasn't impressed with them. It's very hit and miss this defense this season.
Yeah, and I think some of that is just there's a lot of bad offenses in the NFL. There's a lot of bad teams in the NFL, so it can cause you to look a little bit better than you might. And then also, when you have a defense that's largely built around the D line, then anything that can defeat a really good defensive line can cause you troubles. So that could be a good offensive line. It could be a mobile quarterback. It could be a not so good offensive line that's allowed to hold. That's what I said about the Chiefs in our last Super Bowl against them in 2019. So there's those things, but some of it was those first 8 games was Isaiah Oliver being in there and playing too far off the ball was a lot of what causes trouble early.
But the thing with Isaiah Oliver, I thought it was brilliant when he went up to the line of scrimmage, but he couldn't cover a dead body with a sheet.
Yeah, and that's what Randy was asking. Tell us in detail. Yeah, he's great. He made a lot of great plays in the run game.
He's fantastic at running stuff in and at the line of scrimmage.
Hitter, great tackler.
But if it's a pass player, he shouldn't be on the pitch.
No, exactly right. Teach me. That's funny. I said, don't tell Randy. Here he is. We got Dan McNiner in the house. Well, thanks for tuning in early. Appreciate it, McNiner. He has his own channel, so everybody make sure you check him out too. He says, got the notebook out. Randy's taking notes. Oliver saved us in the Lambs game. That's what Randy said. So
what play was that?
So 1 out of 8 games. Okay, there you go. Good. I mean, he I'm glad he helped us in at least one game. Pretty much everything else I remember was trouble.
Oh, that was the first Rams game. Yeah, I remember that. I thought, we were singing his praises then, but then a week later he blown 2 coverages straight away. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and if you've done it once, that fair enough. But if you can't keep it up, get off the pitch.
There you go. Moving Lenore to nickel was the change. It had nothing to do with Oliver. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it just had to do with, Lenore is obviously better than Ambry Thomas. I think Ambry Thomas is better than Oliver, at least in coverage. Now, I'm not saying Ambry hasn't been burned. He obviously looked terrible against the Packers. He's had his moments where he's looked bad.
I still think he's more consistent than Oliver, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver is like once a guy gets a step on him, he's never recovering. So
yeah.
Okay. All right, Randy.
The thing with Oliver, I think he's a linebacker in a cornerback's body.
He could have wrapped up Cleveland Browns loss. I think he said the ref screwed Oliver out of a fumble. Yeah, where they called it like an incomplete or a grounding or something like that. That was the other ref. Yeah, that was not good. No doubt about it. We got Swainbro Sports. Honestly, we need to play a perfect game. We don't need sacks. We can get our offense going. We got this. Everybody, make sure you check out his channel too, or their channel. It's a couple of young guys. Yeah,
when you say perfect, is it what we need like 5 touchdowns, or are we aiming for a clean game? Because there's a very different thing. I think if we have a clean game, we win.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, I think he means no interceptions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Clean game. I mean, perfect game is like Brock dropping 5 touchdowns on him, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to sell up for the run for the first quarter, realize Brock's rolling out, then they're going to adjust to that, and then we're going to start plowing run it down the throat after that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. There you go. Yeah, Kid Run channel. So everybody make sure you check out Swain Brothers Sports. Look at the first 5 games. Oliver was always second or third guy of the sack. Interception to St. Ambrose loses game in Tampa if it wasn't for Jair.
If it wasn't for Jair, wasn't that was zone coverage, wasn't it? He moved his zone on Jair.
Jair also got burned for at least a 41-yard catch too in that game. So I don't know. Jair, I know he had the game-sealing interception at the end, but before that,
was that the interception he's talking about? Because that was a zone coverage one. Yeah, it was zone coverage. It was he moved on from it.
But before that, Jair got picked on at least once or twice, and so I don't know that I would say if it wasn't for Jair. I mean, he did well filling in for Huff, but for a couple games there, maybe we start to think we might not miss Hufanga, but we definitely do. That's one of the problems with our defense is no Talanoa Hufanga for sure.
Yeah. We missed the big bad wolf.
And then the other thing we've been missing is a guy who's not as notable, Cleveland Farrell. He's not an impact edge, especially not from a pass rushing perspective, but from a setting the edge run fit. He does a really good job with that. And so that's
I think he was more of a matchup piece when we brought him in. I mean, if we were going against a heavy run team, he's definitely in the mix a hell of a lot more than Chase Young.
There you go. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. My apologies.
Luke's used him incorrectly. Are we talking about Isaiah Oliver? I thought Isaiah Oliver came in because of Wilkes. He followed him. I'm not 100% sure on that though, but if he has followed him, Wilkes knows his strengths. So I'm not 100% sure what you're seeing him, Randy, to be honest.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah.
Let's see here. So we're saying Ladybug Man my shows. Yeah, Randy is all knowing.
We're saying this about this guy, and watch Isaiah Oliver pull a Malcolm Butler or something this week. I'll be
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I will just eat my hat, literally.
Yeah, we might have to get his jersey, James, to replace the one you burned.
No, on the jerseys. That's finished. Let's get the cloth ones now.
There you go. That's smart.
I think Oliver will be better choice over Ambry. No, I think Ambry's more consistent than Oliver in coverage, especially. He wasn't used right. Oh, good. It's linchpin. If you're Big Red this week, how are you attacking the 49ers?
If I'm him, I would try all the same stuff I did in 2022, the jet sweeps on the goal line, the screens to nullify Bosa. I think Jet McKinnon's coming off IR, so maybe some Jet McKinnon. Yeah. And then, like I said, I think we'll see some passes to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Will he hold on? I don't know. I mean, obviously there'll be Kelsey will get his.
Yeah, look, he can't be stopped. You just got to limit him.
Yeah, you just got to make sure he doesn't get a lot after the catch. And Rashee Rice, he's definitely a wild card too. But I think we like to play a lot of zone, and he doesn't do as well against zone. So I don't think he's going to have as big an impact as he would if we played a lot of man.
This is the kind of game where I miss Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I missed Jimmy Ward all season.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about to cover a tight end. He could a lot of times nullify some of the best tight ends, and yeah, that would be huge. When did Amber get a start? Yeah, it was the Jags game. That's when we benched Oliver and we moved Lenore to nickel from boundary, but Lenore stayed at boundary in the base package and just moved to nickel in nickel. And then when Lenore was in nickel, then Ambry came in at the boundary across from Mooney Ward.
Yeah, I think they've seen something on the buy in the tape that they didn't like, and I think that's when they made the change.
I mean, honestly, Randy, I think if Charvarius Ward hurts his ankle and can't return, I think we've already seen it's Logan Ryan they'll bring in.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be Isaiah Oliver. I think he's further down the depth chart, honestly. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, I mean, none of these guys are perfect. These are the weak links of our defense. Ambry, Jair Brown, Oren Burks, Chase Young, Randy Gregory. These are the weak links of our defense.
Yep.
And so if I'm Andy Reid, those are the guys I'm targeting. Absolutely. Yeah, don't wish that on Ward, no doubt.
Yeah, I think you've gone all Homer on on Isaiah there. Yes. Yeah.
Got Bryant Culp in the house. What's up, Bryant?
Smash that like button.
Let's smash the like button, everyone. Oliver should have been CB2 to start the season. Well, the thing is, I don't think he's a boundary corner. I think he's just a nickel. I don't think he's just not fast enough to play boundary, and he's not fast enough to play nickel either. So I mean, maybe another year removed from his injury, he'll be better. But I just don't see it.
What do you think the biggest differences in Kyle is from this Super Bowl, from the last Super Bowl? Because he is a hell of a lot more relaxed this one.
Yeah, I mean, having a few pops before the pressers.
They were saying he was on it, but I'm not 100% sure he was.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more confident. I think it's the difference between Jimmy G and Brock Purdy. The difference between Mostert and CMC. Because clearly our defense isn't as good as it was back then, but everything else is better, other than Robbie Gould versus Moody.
I think this team's playing to Kyle's strengths as well, because he's an offensive coordinator. He was an offensive coordinator rather than defense. He, I think, feels a hell of a lot more confident in this team than he did with the defensive team of 2019.
Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure.
I think this is going to be like a legacy game for Kyle. If it's either going to write him as he is now the genius. He's brilliant. He's always been on the precipice of greatness. His injuries have only just knocked him off, and you know what I mean. If he can't get over the hump here, he is going to be known as a choker for the rest of his career.
Yeah, somebody asked him about that too, and he's like, "Well, you just go home and spend time with family and worry about what's really important." And it's like, come on, dude, we don't buy him that.
We know what's bubbling in there.
Yeah, you're. This is. I mean, it's not it for you, but it's hard to come back. I mean, because especially when a lot of people count the Atlanta one against him too. Then, even though he wasn't the head coach, I always say head coach gets the glory, head coach gets the blame. But I've never ever seen an offensive coordinator blamed for a defensive collapse in the second half.
Yeah. Out of Atlanta there, didn't he?
Yeah. But Kenny 49er Culp says Sky Moore. So Sky Moore's coming off IR just like Jet McKinnon is. And, he's a good player, but like, dude hasn't played in like many, many moons. I just
Didn't we hear something about Nicole Hardman is his name? Is that his name?
They just don't trust him anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he fumbled in the thing. I think he's been the same with
Bills game. I think he did poorly in the Bills game, and so they're I think they're out on McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney from earlier in the season. They both.
The way he was running, I think Big Red's just gonna. Yeah, there's no nuggies for you, but.
So Sky Moore could do something. He's got the talent to do it. I question whether he's in game shape or not.
I don't know who Sky Moore is. Well, what teams
he was like a highly drafted guy a couple of years ago, and like a guy I scouted and liked a lot. And he had an injury. He's been out all this year or most of this year, and so it's just.
Is he like the Chiefs' Jalen Hurd?
He could be how Kadarius Toney last year in the Super Bowl showed up big for them.
Yeah,
he could be kind of like that, right? Like a guy who has the talent. He hasn't had he didn't live up to his draft billing in his first attempts, but maybe he might this time. I don't think so. Like I said, because he's coming in without being cold and without being in game shape, but it's possible that he could be an X factor too. More than one person has said it to me, so
yeah.
I listen when people say, even if I don't always switch my view or whatever, I hear it when people say things like that.
So. I think everyone's worried about Mahomes and what Mahomes can do, when I think the real problem is Pacheco.
Yeah, Pacheco, it's going to be tough to stop him. Like I said, without Cleveland Farrell to set the edge, without Jimmy Ward, without Aziz Al-Shire, we've lost a lot of good. Even Mosley was really good against the run. A lot of players that helped us to be great. We used to be great tacklers, and our defense is not anymore.
Yeah,
real shame. Brian Culp says Isaiah Oliver is going to be great this game. There's your kiss of death, Randy.
I hope he gets the game-winning interception. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I'll retract everything I've said.
Bryant loves the underdogs. He loves Moody. Fred Warner. There you go. Okay, I like that one.
I think he'll tip it, but I think Greenwald will intercept it. That guy is on fire at the minute.
Yeah, he's got a lot, doesn't he, recently?
Yeah.
Last couple seasons. Bosa causes a fumble. I like that. I don't like the as I mentioned, the Chiefs tackles. I think they're pretty weak. So Bosa should do well, especially if he can keep playing like he was.
I think their interior of the line is pretty solid, though. The center and the guards.
Yeah.
That is going to be a problem with the run game, especially in zone runs.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 42-24 Niners, Bryant says. Wow. Do you have a prediction for the game, James?
I keep swaying because I have like three predicaments in my head, but the main one I'm going for is the first to 30 wins. So I think it's going to be 32 Niners, 24 Kansas.
There you go. So pretty similar to my 28-24. Burks is solid, especially. Yeah, he's maybe our second best special teamer after George Odom. He's outstanding. No, I meant he's the weak link when he's playing Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker in our base package. And nickel, he comes off the field, and it's just Dre and Fred at inside linebacker. But on 1st and 10 and second and short, you keep the nickel package on the base package.
The way that receivers have played, I wouldn't be surprised if Wilkes just plays base and has Fred cover Travis.
Problem with Fred covering Travis is we need him to tackle Pacheco because someone's got to spy Mahomes too. Dre.
Well, the base, you'll have Dre there.
Dre will probably be spying Mahomes though.
Oh yeah,
if you got Dre spying Mahomes and Fred covering, you can't have Fred covered Kelsey. And I don't know that Fred can cover Kelsey anyway. I don't know that he can. He's great.
I think his coverage skills are brilliant. Wasn't he a corner in
safety? Safety, yeah.
Safety, yeah. I think his coverage skills are brilliant.
Yeah, no, they are. I've seen the best corners go up against Kelsey and see him burn them. I think you don't think Fred's double him and just have somebody ahead. They're deeper than him to make sure that he only gets a few steps after he catches it. Passes are rarely to the edges. That's true.
Yeah, I noticed something on the the opening ceremony night. It kind of clicked in my brain how talented Kittle must be as a pass blocker and a run blocker. When you look at the size of Kelsey compared to Kittle, that boy is stacked.
He's 6'5". Yeah, he's a little bigger.
Yeah,
no doubt. Bryant says, "I think we have a chance to get 6." Yeah, I think we have a good chance to get 6, Bryant.
The media, they're all over the Chiefs.
There you go. This can definitely shape the future outcome of this game. Jeez. All right. All right. These guys are just going off. I do have to go get ready pretty soon for a 4:00 show. We got Steve-O saying 33-22.
I don't want to be biting my nails at the end of this game.
Something tells me we will.
Yeah. Fred Kanky couldn't hit the wrong cuff. He's doing the Lions game.
Well, some of that is just like the Lions were probably giving him that.
Yeah.
Because
the Lions are
the good news is the Chiefs don't have nearly as good offensive line as the Lions. So
I love an line. Yeah.
They have a great interior offensive line, but I think Tooney's been officially ruled out. So it's just Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith now. And
what was the say Chris Jones's thigh?
I hadn't heard about
it. If he's giving interviews and things like that, I'd imagine he's going to be playing, but I haven't heard if he's limited or anything.
If Travis gets shut down, the Niners can win big. Absolutely. I mean, Travis and Pacheco. I think those are the two.
Pacheco's going to be the bigger problem than Travis.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think if we can't stop the run, this game's over.
No doubt about it.
The only people who can beat the Niners are the Niners. They need to get these tackles wrapped up.
Absolutely. I think we will. I think we'll carry the day. I think we'll win 6. Yep. I think we'll be talking about a parade next week. So, James, thanks for joining. Everybody in the chat, thanks for being here today.
No problem.
And like I said, go peace, go Niners, and beat them Chiefs.
Yeah. Catch you later.